Holy smokes, it's, what is this, Tuesday? Yeah, happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome back. And Pete Hegseth, by the way, we're taping right now as Pete Hegseth is being grilled by lunatic senators in the Senate hearing room. The smart ones, the conservatives, are like, the guy went to Afghanistan. The guy has served his country in uniform. And the left, all they want to talk about is things he said when he was a Fox host, which, by the way, when you're a host on television, you may say things, and you say things to create interest, provocative stuff, and it doesn't necessarily mean who you are or what you are. I think Pete Hegseth has explained exactly who he is, and he'll be a great Secretary of Defense. And as I've said, since Trump started naming nominees for his cabinet, every single one of the nominees will get through. Every single nominee that Trump puts up will get through. People are like, oh, I'm on a show last night with 4 other people on China TV, and they're all liberal, and they'll tell me, oh, they're not going to get through. They're getting through. And then they go, Matt Gaetz didn't get through. Bullshit. He would have gotten through. He didn't go up there. He didn't stay the distance. And he didn't stay the distance because Trump said, step back, Matt. I know this. I know this for a fact. But had he stayed with it and gone to the hearing, he would have gotten through. Here's why. Senators, like every other elected official in D.C., are swamp rats. Every freaking one of them on both sides of the aisle. All they care about is getting reelected. As soon as they get elected, all they care about is getting reelected 6 years from now, because the Senate seat is a 6-year seat. And so for the people who are coming in right now, they're pro-Trump. They don't even have a vote. But the ones that are coming up for election going forward, they'll come up over the next 3 cycles. So in 2 years, a third of them will come up. If you're a Republican senator and you voted against a Trump nominee, you're gone. You're going to get primaried, and Trump will make sure you're gone. In 4 years, when Trump is still here, see this? It's still here. It's still Biden. So in 4 years from now, you do it against him, you're going to get primaried. You're gone. And the other ones 2 years after that are the ones that Trump put in. No one will vote against. They can bluster. They can, Joni Ernst, by the way, can say, oh, I'm pro-women in military. Oh, I'm for the victims of sexual assault. But in the line, Joni Ernst, like the rest of them, will get in freaking line because they don't want Donald Trump, the buzzsaw, lopping their heads off and throwing them out of their Senate seat. I will also point out something as well. This is who I am, folks. You're going to hear truth. I'm not a right-wing sycophant. Joni Ernst said something very important. She let it slip in this hearing. Well, she's questioning Pete Hegseth, and she's clearly going to vote for him. She said, for the sake of our audience, blah, 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 blah. That pissed me off. This woman said exactly what all the rest of these jerks on the Hill right now are doing. This is a show. This is all a scam. This is all almost like a show trial. They're not doing it. She should have said, for the sake of the good of the American people, or for the sake of the cabinet, or Donald Trump's cabinet and his presidency, or for the sake of the United States military. Here's my question. She said, for the sake of the audience. You know why? Because these scumbag elected officials, every freaking one of them, don't give a damn about you or me. They care about their own ass and their own jobs. That's the truth. Truth bomb, folks. Sorry. All right, back to the show. As the Biden presidency now is winding down, I personally am really starting to realize that 4 years is a long damn time. Just think about how much can change in a day with this guy Biden, or a week, let alone 4 years. Look at all of the societal differences and changes that this country has gone under because this president has either enabled it or likely even more so embraced it during his term. Remember, during the early days of the Biden presidency, when nothing was more important, nothing was more sacred than COVID, follow the science. The Democrats' entire identity was about the COVID, the pandemic. They tirelessly pushed vaccines and mandates and social distancing. It was horrible. We were told every single day, follow the science, a term that has aged kind of like bad milk. Just to prove my point, how much you think can change in 4 years? I want to play a clip from someone who I am almost certain is a Democrat. In 2020, these people told us that science was it. There was nothing more important than science. Yet here in 2024, these same clowns, people, want us to ignore everything scientists have ever said. Listen.
It's a girl, or I'm a girl. Now, this is actually my second gender reveal, because the first time my parents told the world that I was a boy, which is incorrect, but I do not hold it against them, because how could they have known I was gonna be trans? But it's a good reminder that the parts you see on an ultrasound don't determine a baby's gender. And how is that possible? Well, think about it like this marker. A blue cap usually means a blue marker, but sometimes marker caps get switched, and in this case, it is a pink marker. See, that's what happened to me. They saw something on the ultrasound that usually means it's a boy, but the cap was cap, and I turned out to be a girl. So should we stop doing gender reveals? Of course not. Gender reveals are a great way to celebrate the birth of a child. What I'm suggesting is instead of doing it before the kid is born, do it after they're born.
Yeah, let me help you out here. And for those folks, our great audience who's on listening on radio, on Spotify or iTunes or other podcasts, there's a dude there with long red hair wearing a dress. Let me help you out here, dude with long hair. You're a dude. You're a boy. And if you want to look at an ultrasound, look at the ultrasound. If it has a penis, it's going to be a boy, my friend. And if it has a vagina, it's going to be a girl. Sorry, that's the science. But according to people like this, these clowns, if an ultrasound identifies a baby boy, we should wait until after birth to share that news with loved ones, then ask the infant child what gender they would like to be, more likely what you want them to be, freaks, or wait until, 2 decades of social media brain rot and indoctrination if you're watching MSNBC or CNN, and then they can tell the world what gender they have chosen. Guess what? They're going to do it anyway. While you guys try and figure out that one, we got plenty more to discuss. So as always, let's react. Okay, we must start with this picture of the new Los Angeles mayor, the one who's under such scrutiny right now for screwing everything up, Karen Bass. Now, if you're watching, great. And if you're listening, it's a big picture right now of Karen Bass sitting in the middle of a bunch of people, men and women, some are in masks, and they're all smiling. It's a selfie. For whatever reason, they thought it would be appropriate to take a selfie smiling ear to ear at the Hearst Fire Command Center in Los Angeles. I don't know if this is arrogance, ignorance, stupidity, F you to the world. What the hell does Karen Bass, why does she have to be smiling? What does she have to be smiling about? The entire country despises her. Her residents are cursing her name as they fight to survive the horrific fires that she's done absolutely nothing about. Is it really possible for someone to be this socially or unself-aware, let's call it that? She's smiling. She's only smiling because her ivory tower home still stands. Of course it does. Speaking of ivory tower elites, remember this clown? Jen Rubin. Now, let me set this up a little bit. Jen Rubin claims to be a conservative who used to work at the Washington Post. Well, Jen Rubin, she's never conservative. It's all a lie. Well, she just announced that she's leaving the Washington Post. Her and her pal, Norm Eisen, are teaming up to bring us, well, I'm not really sure exactly what they're doing, but take a listen. They did release one of the most cringe-worthy videos that I've ever seen to try and explain what they're up to. See if you can tell exactly what they're up to, because I can't really figure it out. Listen.
Hi, I'm Jen Rubin.
And I'm Norm Eisen.
I am here to announce I am leaving the Washington Post in order to co-found with Norm an exciting new online platform, The Contrarian. We are going to bring you written material, podcasts, interviews, social media, all in defense of democracy. Our intent is to combat the authoritarian force that we all face.
We're going to do politics. We're going to do law. But we know that any successful pro-democracy movement also has to be very vocal about culture. We'll have a humor column. We'll even have a cooking column. But we're going to sprinkle in a little bit of pro-democracy flavor.
All right. I have no idea what it's probably what they're doing is they couldn't stand legacy media and they're trying to capitalize on digital. I mean, it's where everyone's going. But, man, if that's what our competition is going to be, bring it on. It's almost hard to believe that the video that we just played right there is even real. While Jen and Norm sprinkle in that good old pro-democracy flavor, they're still going to do cooking shows and stuff. I promise you, folks, I will not do any cooking segments on this podcast, this show. Now, let's check in on that old dude, Joe Biden. Surely he hasn't messed anything up in the last 24 hours. Has he? Right, Joe? Right?
Post-Cold War period is over. A new era has begun. In these 4 years, we faced crises that we've been tested. We've come through those tests stronger, in my view, than we entered those tests. Today, I can report to the American people, our adversaries are weaker than were when we came into this job 4 years ago. I know some incoming administration, some in the incoming administration, are skeptical about the need for clean energy. They don't even believe climate change is real. I think they come from a different century. They're wrong. They are dead wrong. It's the single greatest existential threat to humanity.
So those were a few clips from the final, thank God, the final major foreign policy speech that Joe Biden will ever give as a politician. And instead of addressing the real and dire threats that our country currently face, Iran wanted to blow us up. Remember that? China, not exactly making nice with us. Russia, threatening us. South Korea, North Korea, South Korea even, maybe if they take over, if North Korea takes South Korea. Well, instead of any of those, Joe Biden, the president, decided to bitch and moan about climate change and slur his way through a few other digs at the incoming Trump administration. As always, great job, Joey. Don't worry, at least the president is using his final days in office to really make a difference in the lives of those people in California, those victims. He just got them all some aid. Well, listen to his generosity carefully.
I want to be clear. We're not waiting until those fires are over to start helping the victims. We're getting them help right now, as you all know. People impacted by these fires are going to receive one-time payment of $770. One-time payment.
Notice how he said one time, $770. One-time payment, $770. So I did a little math. Okay, we've given Ukraine $200 billion under Joe Biden, $200 billion. There are 17,000 households in Ukraine. So we've given Ukrainians $11 million per household. $11 million per household to Ukrainians. But the Americans, the victims of a California wildfire, poorly managed social structure in Los Angeles County and others in Southern California and California, they're going to get $770 a household. Ukrainians, $11 million for you. Americans, $770. Thanks, Joe. Meanwhile, their $1 million California homes are being burned to the ground. Thank you very much for your $770. What an absolute disgrace this man is. Do you know how many dollars were committed to Ukraine from that very desk? I told you, $200 billion. $770 for Americans who literally lost everything they had in a state that overwhelmingly supported Joe Biden, your clown vice president, in your election efforts. Shame on you, Joe and Kamala. Hopefully this egregious negligence opens some eyes moving forward. I don't know. Maybe California goes red. Who knows? But as usual, Kamala, well, she didn't have much to add to the conversation. Here she is babbling on about what else these devastated Californians should do during this time of crisis. Get this.
And so it's critically important that to the extent you can find anything that gives you an ability to be patient in this extremely dangerous and unprecedented crisis, that you do.
Was she an idiot? Was she drinking again? Beep. Fuck. The fires are burning the city down. They're raging. Be patient, she says. Meanwhile, there's no water in the fire hydrants, no force, no propulsion to push the water onto the homes that are burning down. But be patient. Be patient. Sure thing, Cammie. So you're saying that as my house burns, I should simply stick around and wait it out, right? What an absolute moron. And there are people who are still confused about why Kamala Harris didn't win the election. By the way, she thinks she's going to be the shoo-in nominee in 2028. All right. Today, I gave you a little bit of old Joe, some Kamala. Naturally, next up would be Karine Jean-Pierre. Let's listen to this one, her latest, as we all get ready to bid farewell to this cast of clown characters.
A week from now, it's all over.
Yes.
Between next Monday and 2028.
2028?
Who's the leader of the Democratic Party?
Oh, my goodness. Wow. That is for people much smarter than I to make that assessment, that decision. Obviously, voters will decide. That is not something for me to decide. I could say right now, in this moment, in this room, as I'm looking at the clock as it's counting down, because we have to leave shortly, you have the President Joe Biden, who is obviously the president and the leader of the Democratic Party. I do not have I cannot predict the future, so that is not something that I'm going to do from here.
So, no leader of the party.
That's not what I said.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. See what happens when you ask Karine Jean-Pierre a question that she can't look up in that book, that briefing book. She can't page to where that question is with the right answer that someone has written for her. Karine, another airhead whose tenure at the White House almost feels like a simulation, like you could make that up, like it's fiction. Her response may have been abysmal, but the question was a good one. Who is at the top of the Democrat Party right now? It hasn't been Biden for years. They tried to make Kamala Harris the top of the top, which she couldn't have screwed up any worse. Gavin Newsom was a top candidate, but after seeing how little he cares about the devastation in California, I'd be shocked to see him garner national support. But you never know. They are Democrats. That party truly has no leader, no identity. Well, personally, my vote would go to John Fetterman. Seems to be a centrist now, sensible, although hopefully he will be on the right side of the aisle by the time 2028 rolls around. You never know, folks. You never know. Well, our folks at Goya are still at it. In 2021, Goya launched Goya Cares, a global initiative to protect children and educate children on mental health. Goya Cares is providing schools and community centers with a preventative education curriculum and a free assembly that includes the viewing of Goya Cares Press Pause. Press Pause is intended to raise awareness regarding mental health issues, abuse, and bullying among children, teens, and within our communities. Press Pause is an educational film following 15-year-old Sofia Rodriguez as she navigates adolescence, self-doubt, and an abusive relationship amid her parents' turbulent divorce, set within the cultural context of her Hispanic family. The film explores her discomfort with unwanted attention from her uncle and the pressures of maintaining a facade of perfection in high school. It introduces the Press Pause campaign promoting kindness and advocacy, highlighted by Sofia leaving a note saying, "You matter," for a bullied peer, a friend. The film encourages open family communication about mental health and culminates in Sofia's transformative realization of her right to seek help through the power of empathy and small acts of kindness. Press Pause displays the importance of being proactive in supporting one's community and underscores the critical importance of self-advocacy. All right, folks, time for today's Truth Bomb. All right, Bolling Truth Bomb, always uncensored, always truthful. See what happened another day, another corrupt mainstream media executive falls. This time it's Rashida Jones from MSNBC. Yep, the boss at MSNBC, another DEI hired darling, by the way, who oversaw a precipitous drop in the ratings after their misinformation campaign against Trump failed miserably. Well, even in Rashida's final days as the head of the network, her on-air puppets were pushing misinformation. Take a look at Morning Joe. Morning Joe just suggested that Trump told the FBI to ignore people with evidence about Pete Hegseth. That's quite the claim when you consider the Democrats' manhandling of the FBI under Joe Biden. So Rashida Jones is out. My guess it's just the first head to roll. Again, these mainstream media clowns on the left told their audience that Kamala Harris was likely winning, certainly neck and neck with Donald Trump. It proved all to be a lie. They knew it. They saw it coming. They were using pollsters that pled their case for them. In the end, when Trump walloped Kamala, those audience members are smart. They're not dummies. Some of them are crazy and they'll follow them anywhere, but they realized that they were being lied to from the get-go. Rashida's out. Rashida Jones at MSNBC out. We'll wait and see. There's a big shakeup happening at CNN. And as you know, Zuckerberg from Meta, Bezos from the Washington Post, they're all realizing that maybe truth does freaking matter. Maybe truth just does matter. I'm not sure if they will. Not sure. Maybe Fox will hold the whole audience. Maybe there'll only be one cable news network, Fox, and everyone else will fall to the wayside. Because everyone else on both sides, and I mean everyone, is censored, is corporate media, is propaganda, and I mean everyone. I can't say that about Fox. They do censor a lot of stuff through their advertisers and their corporate boardrooms. But the vast majority of, call it Newsmax, CNN, MSNBC, all the rest of them, they are all highly, highly censored. That's why folks are coming here. That's why folks are coming to digital. And thank you, by the way, for giving us 200% increase from month 1 to month 2 with this show, and another 200% increase from month 2 to month 3. Not from 3 to 1, but from 3 to 2. You guys are phenomenal. Appreciate you, and we're continuing to grow. Truth Bomb, folks, out. All right, folks, the New World Order, those globalists, the whole globalist network, well, they're dying. They're almost gone. Listen.
America is back at the table.
Well, 4 years ago, our goofy pre-dementia geriatric in-chief, commander-in-chief, whatever he is, stood at the G7 summit and declared to the world, America is back at the table. He didn't say America is back. That would have been wrong. It was him that was going to be the president for the next 4 years. He said America is back at the G7 freaking table. What table is that, you might ask, that G7 table? What does that represent? Well, it's the climate change hoax table, the New World Order table, the globalist elite table. That's the table he was placing, Joe Biden was placing America back at. The big guy, beholden to his New World Order boss, Barack Obama, was placing America firmly back at that globalist table, at the mercy of those looking to destroy America. The deep state allowed us to sit at that table with their caveats, their power broker deals. Most of those deals were more beneficial to the war machine and the world's ivory tower, Klaus Schwab, those types, than they could ever be to the average American. What were we getting? The average American, what were we getting by putting us back at the G7 or the G20, for that matter, table, or the NATO table? What do we get? We finance that shit. They use our money to do their globalist, mind-numbing stuff. Sorry. Remember, those people don't give a damn about the common working man, especially the common American working man or woman. Those of us who work hard, so hard, day in, day out, to pay more and more in taxes so that they can make decisions that make our taxes go up even higher and higher. We're paying off the rest of the world. Remember when Barack Obama said he didn't want America to be unique, exceptional? He didn't want American exceptionalism. He wanted us to be even with the world. We were up here. Most powerful economy in the world, most powerful military in the world. We were innovative. We had the best corporations. We had the best schools. But he wanted us to be on an even playing field with the rest of the world. Now, was he going to reduce, Obama, was he going to reduce our stature or raise their stature? Either way, it's bad for us. That was Barack Obama's dream, pipe dream. It's coming true. The New World Order has one goal and one goal alone: the Great Reset. A world in which just a few powerful people control everything. And that's not the President of the United States, by the way. While the rest of us have absolutely no say in any of it. A social credit score. How about that? It would blow your mind to look at the chart of power that they suggest. We really have no clue who the most powerful people in the world truly are. We see glimpses of it at places like the G7 summit or the G20 summit. But that's not even who we're talking about right now. They're the faces you may not even know. They fly and train and limo up to this place, the Swiss the Swiss Alps for the World Economic Forum meeting set to take place next week in Davos, Switzerland, ironically taking place off the heels of President Trump's inauguration in less than a week next Monday. So these people are truly bad people. That's putting it lightly. They're not just low-life, scummy people. They're truly evil because their money and their power knows no limits, no bounds. But more importantly, they know that so many people work for them and towards their ultimate cause, their ultimate goal, power, control. Donald Trump, on the other hand, is their worst nightmare. Let's get a little further into it. I told you yesterday that how someone acts and behaves in a crisis tells you a lot about who they are, their true nature, their true intentions. But in a crisis, especially for Democrats, this crisis is supposed to distract you from what's really going on. In 2015, when Trump came down the escalator at Trump Tower in New York City, the leftist machine, the deep state, they all ridiculed him. And they refused to acknowledge Donald Trump as an actual threat. They didn't think he was going to make it. They never saw him coming. Once it was time for Barack Obama to step aside, that whole New World Order crew, the bosses that Obama reports to, needed to continue their dynasty of control. And who better than that lady Hillary Clinton, a well-known globalist cog, a well-oiled treason machine, ready to follow orders and do their bidding. Hillary is and was the deep state's dream. They had one on her mind. They knew she was it. They helped cover so many of her husband's illegal wrongdoings. They had her. They had her in their palm. They could control her. They wanted to control the American president. From nefarious deals to the Benghazi embassy disaster to wiping her servers clean from classified information and emails, the deep state and the leftist machine worked very, very, very hard to place their next stooge, Hillary, in the White House. And they really thought they had it. They had it done. Almost everyone thought Hillary had it in the bag. To be clear, this one right here, I realized early on that Trump was not only going to be the GOP nominee, he was going to be our next president. I called him to be the presidential candidate for the Republican Party, and I knew he was going to win. I knew it. I was on Fox. I knew it. I was getting yelled at from Perito, Gutfeld, everyone. They thought I was nuts. I called it before anyone else did. By the way, even before my very, very good close friend, Sean Hannity, who I adore, who very much is behind Donald Trump. But Sean was Ted Cruz first. I was Trump, number one, even before Mark Levin. And when Trump did win, when he won the candidacy and then, quite frankly, easily, handily won the presidency, that sent the deep state into a panic, sheer panic. The deep state gathered in the swampy, dark corners of Washington and the world to talk about how to take down Trump, this disruptor, the anti-globalist, anti-deep state soldier that he clearly is and was, and very clearly continues to be. Listen.
Wise leaders always put the good of their own people and their own country first. The future does not belong to globalists. The future belongs to patriots.
Well, the future belongs to listen to this. Boy, nothing scares the crap out of a globalist more than hearing the most powerful man, literally the most powerful man in America, in the world, say he's going to love his country above all else. And he's not there to follow globalist orders. Interesting, right? I was back in 2019, by the way. The rest is history. He stuck with that. Trump did. President Trump's chessboard became clearer and clearer then, but it's never been more clear than it is right now. It's Trump against the world, and now we're seeing world leaders bended knee to Donald Trump. During his first presidency, though, Trump put faith in people who told him he had to include some of those New World Order soldiers, clowns, into his orbit. Those who had no convictions of their own and lived by the old school America last values. I'm thinking about Mike Pence. I'm thinking about John Bolton, just to name a few. But that's not the Trump we have right now. This is a patriotic Goliath they've made. The lawfare has made Trump even wiser and stronger and more resolved. Trump is playing chess, 4D chess, for God's sake. But It's the kind of chess no one has seen before. You can see it every aspect, even his cabinet appointments. You can hear it in every statement that Trump makes. What's in store is like nothing we've known before. This is a new Trump. This is Trump 2.0. Bigger, better, stronger. Look at what President Trump has already done that breaks with the deep state's norms, inviting world leaders like China's Xi Jinping, Italy's Giorgia Meloni, who's often referred to as Italy's Donald Trump, Hungary's Viktor Orban, El Salvador's Bukele, who has completely transformed his country and given an incredible speech at CPAC last year about the evils of globalists like George Soros. Listen.
Who elected Soros to dictate public policy and laws? Why does he feel entitled to impose his agenda? Let me tell you something. Soros and his cronies hit a brick wall in El Salvador. Thank God, and all the glory be to him, Salvadorans are now immune to his influence.
Yeah, immune to his influence, immune to Soros' influence. Oh, that makes those globalists so mad. They don't like any of this. And there's more where that came from. Like Argentina's Javier Milei, also invited to the inauguration, Brazil's Bolsonaro. My point is, these aren't the usual suspects, the usual globalists. These are people who've won because they're more in line with Trump, with more populism. They're not part of the New World Order. They each protect and cherish their own country's interests and are admonished by the world for it. That shocks the globalists to their core. And yes, more of that, please. But there's a common thread. All of the above are fighting against their own deep states, the leftist machines within their own countries, and those globalist elites and the Great Reset, the New World Order, whatever you want to call it. It exists, very much so. And Trump is building this coalition, the anti-deep state ecosystem, the anti-globalism, the populism, but it's brilliant. And to add insult to injury, you look at Elon Musk, one of Trump's soldiers, and what he's doing and who he's going after. Like clear globalist soldier Prime Minister Keir Starmer in the UK, who has repeatedly come out against President Trump. Or good little China doll Justin Trudeau, who just got smacked around so badly it was the final nail in his coffin of his sad, pathetic little commie career. Even France's Emmanuel Macron, who's also slamming Trump. Through Musk, German globalist soldier Olaf Scholz. The time for the globalist puppets is coming to an end. They've done everything they can to F up the world. That's what they want, and that's what they've been doing. Global conflicts, crisis, they need that. That's why they support and fund endless wars, pandemics. This is what they need. They need the distraction because while that's going on, you don't see what they're really trying to do. They're trying to own technology like artificial intelligence in order to control the world. That's the entire theme of this year's World Economic Forum in Switzerland next week, by the way. AI. Who's going to own AI? Oh, they know what they're doing. They know where the power lies. They know that those who control AI will become the mightiest, the most powerful, and that's what we need to be watching. We need to keep our eyes on them. They light fires, real and proverbial, and we get distracted, like LA. But meanwhile, they're making plans to combat the New World Order disruption that Trump is. They want it to stay in place. They want to be globalists. They want to own the world. We're at war with the globalists, believe me. And Trump knows that. Trump's push for a greater America, including Canada and Greenland and the Panama Canal, Trump's threat to reduce funding to NATO and leave the World Health Organization completely, and its BS global control treaty, they're all damaging to the New World Order. And that is the long-term chess game and the most important one America is playing. The wokeism, the elements of Marxism, the Islamic extremism and support for terrorists that exist in our government, our schools, our universities, it's over. It's dying or dead. The corporate world, the universities, they're abandoning those DEI BS principles. And he may be the geriatric in chief right now, but it's always been clear that Joe Biden was a willing soldier of the regime. Make no mistake about it. Listen to this.
The affirmative task we have now is to actually create a new world order, because the global order is changing again. And now is the time when things are shifting. There's going to be a new world order out there.
He said it. He said the quiet part out loud. The task is to create a new world order. So Barack Obama wanted, he didn't want America to be exceptional. New world order means every one of us citizens is on the same playing field, has the same access, gets the same things, while the elites hold all the control and the power. And the legacy media that was protecting it and doing the New World Order's bidding for them, well, they're dying. The people are done with it all, done with the lies and the propaganda, folks. Rashida Jones is gone from MSNBC. The mainstream media is sucking wind. All right, folks. One of the greatest props ever from America's greatest campaign ever will make an appearance at Inauguration Day. And I'm sorry for the folks who are listening on radio, you can't see this. Donald Trump is set to roll out his campaign garbage truck during his Inauguration Day parade. You remember that? That garbage truck? Well, there it is. We're showing it, folks. Trump's on the side of it. And that was in response to Biden calling us all garbage. I think it was Biden. Kamala, one of those lunatic lefties called anyone who supports Trump garbage. It was that Hillary Clinton deplorables moment, and Trump capitalized on it by putting himself in the seat of a garbage truck. If we're all garbage, he's the garbage man. Bolling for a Tuesday. See you tomorrow, folks. Out.